Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be building this French cleat wall that you see behind me, which I desperately needed since I decided to sell all of my wall cabinets about 6 months ago. And now roughly 90% of my tools live in 6 storage bins over there on the floor. And I can tell you firsthand how incredibly frustrating it is to search through bins looking for tools when I need them. For those of you that haven't seen French cleats before, they work by mounting one part of the cleat to the wall, while the other is secured to the back of the object to be hung, creating a stable and secure mounting system when slid together. French cleats are absolutely perfect for workshop storage due to their versatility and strength. They allow for easy adjustment of shelves and storage components and make very convenient to rearrange tools as needed quickly and without using new screws or nails. If you have French cleats located in different areas of your workshop, you can pick up the tool holder and hang it right next to where you're working. Very handy. Secondly, they look great. And since I use my garage as a workshop, it also doubles as a YouTube studio. I needed something to use as a backdrop that wasn't just my crap laying up against the wall looking like a total garbage dump. It's super convenient storage system, exactly what I needed to start organizing my shop. So let's dig into how I built it.
I start by ripping 3/4 inch plywood into 5-inch strips with the blade at 90 degrees. Ripping full sheets of plywood isn't always the preferred method, but these Jessam clear-cut stock guides make easy and safe work of it. I have a full video posted about these guides, so if you're interested in learning more about them, go check it out. And please do not follow by example with flip-flops when doing this. Sometimes I don't even realize I'm wearing them since they're just so darn comfy. It's like walking on a cloud. But I digress. Be safe, damn it. Don't do it.
All right, so now that we have all of our 5-inch boards ripped, 90-degree angles on each side, now we need to break them down into the cleats. So there's another channel, Bittner Built Woodworking, that did a in-depth tutorial on French cleats, and that's where I got the dimensions for this video. And in that video, he said 2 inches is going to give you a perfect cut right down the middle. Now, that all depends on how perfect my 5-inch cut is. So that's why I'm saying we're going to start at 2 inches. We're going to compare the two pieces and then make changes as we go. And before doing so, if you are using a zero clearance insert, don't forget to take that out before you change to a 45 because you're going to ruin your zero clearance insert, which I almost did, but caught it in time. So we are going to reset the digital angle gauge. We're going to put that guy on the blade and we're going to do a 45-degree cut. Just a touch shorter. So I'm going to kick that out just a tiny bit. Now this isn't going to have to be absolutely perfect because I'm actually going to cut off the very sharp edge on all these cleats, just maybe a 1/16 of an inch. I'm just going to run it through a 90-degree blade and just trim that off just a hair. So I don't like those sharp edges. You actually can cut yourself on them. I'm getting a lot of burning on that. I'm not sure if my saw needs to be, I just dialed it in, so. Oh, that's much better. So just 2 attempts and this is almost perfect. This is, it's less than a 30-second. We're good to go there. Now that we have everything dialed in, we can run all of the 5-inch boards through, cutting each of them in half at a 45-degree angle. And that's going to give you all the cleats we need for both the wall and the back of your tool holders.
And here's a view of what a whole bunch of cleats look like. Whee! Here we go, flying over from the top.
I want to take a second to thank all of you for tuning into my channel. I realize you're all busy with life and have dozens, if not hundreds of other channels and shows that you can be watching. And I truly appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to watch my videos. Let me know in the comments below what other DIY projects you'd like for me to make a video on, and I'll pick a few to include in the upcoming build videos. Let's get back to this project. Once again, thanks for watching.
Next, I mark the studs across the wall where everything will be screwed down and attached to the wall. Using a laser level, I attach the ledger board that I'll be using to rest the 1/2-inch plywood backer board on while I attach it to the studs. You don't have to use a backer board, but I chose to just because I think it looks a little bit nicer, especially for a YouTube studio. Oh, look how level it is. It just makes me so happy. And now that the ledger is secured to the wall, I can carry over the 1/2-inch plywood, gently rest it on top. We know it's already level. And it's just like an extra set of hands. I'm attaching the wall board using 3-inch cabinet screws, and to ensure the screw head doesn't stick out from the surface, which would actually interfere when sliding a tool cleat on the wall, I countersink a hole using a Forstner bit, which leaves a nice flat bottom where the flat underside of a cabinet screw can butt up against. I'm only attaching the board just at the top and the bottom for now, and I'll go into a little more detail on that in a minute. Look how nice that ends up. Since I have another section of wall to cover, I move the ledger over and align it with the bottom of the wall board that I just finished installing, since I know it's perfectly level. I follow the exact same process of installing these boards as I did the first one.
All right, so I have all of the boards put up onto the wall, and the next step is we're going to start attaching the cleats to the wall. But before we do that, I forgot one step. I want to take the point off of each of these cleats just a hair because, well, for a couple reasons. This is brittle, and so it's going to be breaking off and looking terrible when I'm putting tools on and off the wall. Second, it's actually pretty sharp, so I want to eliminate that sharpness. And third, by just taking off a hair from the top of this cleat, it will actually sit into the French cleat a little nicer because once those cleats are up on the wall, you're going to get some debris and stuff falling in, sawdust, possibly some glue squeeze out when we're installing them. And so instead of having that point hitting that obstacle and getting all jaggedy up on the wall, I'm just going to level that off. I forgot to do that when I cut the French cleats. So we're going to take care of that. Second, the way I'm going to be installing the cleats onto the wall is going to be a little bit different than what I thought. So normally I would just be using glue and brad nails. That is plenty strong for what we're going to be holding on the wall. But the sanded ply that I'm using, as I was putting screws into the studs, I was noticing some of the screws almost going straight through the 1/2-inch plywood. So I don't know if I got a really soft piece of plywood, but I'm a little worried about them ripping off of the wall. So I'm going to be putting a couple 3-inch screws through the cleat, through the plywood wall, directly into the stud. And this is going to actually act as a clamp. So this is going to clamp everything down.
The camera makes it look like I'm taking 1/8 of an inch off, but it's really less than 1/16 of an inch.
So now I'm just going to put a sheet of plastic over my workbench because we're going to be gluing these boards up. All right, here we go, day 2. I ran out of time. I had to get some things done last night. And I completed cutting the edges of each of the cleats on the table saw. So that is complete. Now we're going to get to installing them on the wall. I'll walk you through how we're going to do it. The main ingredient is going to be Titebond 2. We're going to use a roller to put it on the cleat, and then we will secure it to the wall using 18 gauge brad nails. Let's just get to it. Let's get to it. So before we dive too far in, I want to explain what we're doing here. We're going to be gluing the short side of the cleat. We want to avoid as much squeeze out as possible onto this edge of the cleat because when the squeeze out goes up on the cleat, let me grab another cleat. When the other cleat goes in from the back of the tool that we're going to hang, the edge of the tool cleat will hit the glue and it won't seat properly. So we're going to do our best to avoid squeeze out by wiping off like the top, maybe 1/2 inch. I'll talk about these spacers more when we're using them. I got this idea from Bittner Built Woodworking on YouTube. Great idea. This is going to go in between the cleats so they're equally spaced all the way up the wall. And this little numbering system is going to make sure that each of the cleats are leveled out. If there is a little variation in these blocks. I know I cut these blocks perfectly. They're exactly 3.5 inches square. But if one is just a little bit off, we can use these by rotating them and leveling out that difference on the wall. Great idea. If you haven't checked out his channel, go check him out. So one thing to note, the very first cleat has to be perfectly level because this is going to be the starting cleat that all of the other cleats are going to be based off of. So I know that I made this perfectly level using my laser level. And so I just want to make sure of it.
Using this handy dandy glue roller from Rockler, I apply a thin, even layer of glue on the short side of the cleat, being careful not to let the glue drip down the 45-degree edge. I'm wiping about 1/2 inch of glue from the edge closest to the 45 to limit the amount of squeeze out I get inside the cleat in the wall. Using a straight edge, in my case a 6-foot level, I rest the cleat on top and start brad nailing the cleat to the plywood in between the studs.
Getting back to the spacers, these spacers are exactly 3.5 inches, which is a good enough spacing between cleats because you need to make sure that you have enough room for the tool cleats to go in and slide down. This should do that for us. And the spacers make it really easy for installing the next set of cleats. And what I was mentioning about the numbering, I have a 1 and a 2. So if one of these spacers is just a hair off, the way to counteract that and balance it out, the next row you do 2. And so that way, if one side wasn't perfectly square, it would then level it out. Some people do 1, 2, 3, 4, and that way you have 4 different ways of working your way up the wall to minimize anything that might be off in your measurements.
Attaching the cleats is pretty much rinse and repeat, using the previous cleat as a ledger and then the spacer block as the spacer block.
So now we've got the first full 4x8 sheet of plywood covered with cleats. Now I'm going to go on and continue to put cleats up the right side here. I'm going to be installing a 1250 CFM Dust Right canister collector, and it's going to be hanging on the wall. And so I don't want to have cleats where the collector is because it'll just be a waste of cleats. I am going to just do some quick measurements, draw an outline of where I think it'll be installed. Probably up to around here is where a stud is. It has to be attached directly to a stud because it's fairly heavy. So I'll probably just have cleats going to here, and then up on the top, cleats all the way to the wall.
I went ahead and installed the supporting blocks for the dust collector, and as you can see, I completely changed my mind and ran the cleats all the way across just so I can have some extra space around the dust collector to hang some odds and ends for the dust collector. And as that guy continues to hang cleats, I wanted to show how I secure the cleats to the studs since I wasn't too crazy about this 1/2-inch ply. Same method as securing the plywood, I countersink using a Forstner bit, then drill a 3-inch cabinet screw into the stud. I put screws into every other stud, which is going to be plenty strong enough for now. And here's the finished product. In part 2 of the French Cleat series, I'll be building at least 5 of the best tool storage holders for the French Cleat wall. Subscribe and make sure you don't miss that video.
Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed this project and can take a few of these ideas with you and possibly even improve upon them and use them in your own projects. Your continued support motivates me to continue to create more content. 2023 was a great year for myself and this channel, gaining almost 2,000 subscribers, and I can promise you there are a lot of great videos to come in 2024. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, as I truly appreciate your support and thank you for being awesome viewers and for being part of this community. Let's continue to grow together and continue to be safe in the workshop, and I'll see you on the next video.